Good afternoon, everyone. We will start with introductions of the ARD committee members. I am Ms. Leon, principal of Benavides Elementary.
Good afternoon. I am Ms. Jennifer Solano Enriquez Martinez, special education teacher.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ms. Alondra Mendiola Enriquez, general education teacher.
Good afternoon. I am Ms. Marisela Martinez Enriquez, paraprofessional.
My name is Monica Rosas. I'll be playing the parent role of Enrique's mom, Patricia Martinez.
Mr. and Ms. Martinez, here are your procedural safeguards. These contain your rights as a parent. Please read at your convenience. All information concerning a student with disabilities is confidential and may not be discussed with anyone other than the members of this committee. All participants are expected to speak in a courteous manner and allow for everyone to voice their concerns. The expectations must be followed in order to facilitate a safe, collaborative environment focused on the development of appropriate educational plans for the student. The purpose for this ARD meeting is an annual review for Enrique Martinez to check for progress in areas of strength, weakness, and improvement. Mr. and Ms. Martinez, according to records, is the language at home primarily Spanish?
Yes, ma'am, but I understand and can speak English.
Is the contact in our records still the same so we can contact you for any questions or concerns?
Yes, ma'am.
Enrique's last evaluation was completed June 24, 2018. His next evaluation will be due on June 24, 2020. Enrique currently qualifies for special education services as a student with dyslexia. Enrique has mastered previous IEP goals and objectives. Enrique has improved his reading by learning to form letters and has mastered spelling. He has been taught to remember the correct letter sequence in words and has also become more fluent in reading by also having pictures next to what he is reading to make it easier for him to remember and to learn what he's reading. He is currently passing all of his classes.
Enrique attends 1 hour and a half daily to the resource room to get help with assignments from lectures. Enrique participates 80% in the classroom activity based on working with the special education teacher. I've noticed his comprehension has improved and developed his critical thinking. Enrique has been working on decoding words because he's still having trouble distinguishing letters.
Enrique needs a schedule to stay on task and follow his daily routine. He also benefits from frequent breaks and shortened assignments. While working on reading, I noticed during fluency there are pauses for unfamiliar words. Enrique will either skip the word if it's too difficult or will come up with a new word. During writing, I found that Enrique struggles identifying words because he has trouble distinguishing letters.
I have seen a change in Enrique. He is and more fluent in reading.
Enrique can decode text by breaking down words into their letter sounds, though he still questions the difference between some of the letter sounds. During morning fluency, he reads at 65 words per minute at the spring semester of the school year. Students at this term are usually reading 100 words per minute. During fluency, there are pauses for unfamiliar words also. He will either skip the word if it's too difficult. But when given the task to individually read, it's evident that there is roughly 65% of comprehension. Due to such issues, Enrique's class participation in reading discussion is less compared to others. 80% of the time, he finishes his test after allowing time, and grades based on text comprehension are low, resulting in a grade level performance of a first grader. And our goals were that Enrique will go from reading 65 words to 130 per minute, approximately reaching his grade level average. After giving instruction on phonological awareness, Enrique will read passages with multisyllabic words with little to no assistance, and he will also give instruction on sight words, and will read them 105 words per minute. He will go from reading at a frustration level of 60% to an instructional level of 90% accuracy at an appropriate rate. Instruction and accuracy, Enrique will read passage with 2 or 3 errors. This instruction on pronunciation word sound, Enrique will sound out words correctly and with expression. His reading comprehension will go from 65% to 90% accuracy for grade level stories. And with the given text, he will use context clues to determine the meaning of unfamiliar words with 80% accuracy. Given a short story, Enrique will identify main idea and sequence of events of the story with 75% accuracy. And when it comes to writing, Enrique is not able to formulate sentences of a second grade level. Typically, Enrique finds himself spending a large amount of time trying to spell out words. But when set separately with a teacher, student would allow the teacher when spelling a word with the letter B or D if the round part of the letter went left or right. Enrique has trouble combining letters to make words and will write words as the letter they sound like. When creating short essays, Enrique struggles to complete more than 3 sentences. He relies heavily on his word folder, but when words are not on there, he relies on teacher's assistant. Roughly, Enrique tends to complete summaries in a longer period than the rest of the students 90% of the time. Our goal is for him to improve his familiarity with commonly confused words like B and D. He will use sensory items to identify the letter of given objects to familiarize himself with like letters. When given pictures of familiar letters, Enrique will be able to identify these letters. He will improve his writing by making complete sentences 50% to an 80% of accuracy. After punctuation practice, he will know where to properly use punctuation points. Given sentence structure instructions, Enrique will write sentences using subject, verb, and object. Another of our goals is to Enrique will be able to develop and apply methods of organization in his writings and grade level story summaries with 80% of accuracy. Given this instruction about summarization, Enrique will paraphrase using 3 to 5 sentences. Given summary structure, Enrique will identify what happened at the beginning, middle, and end of the story. He will also attend the counselor's office 30 minutes per week to follow up on his weekly class goals. He will receive help during his general education class for 4 hours per day, 3 times a week. The paraprofessional will assist Enrique focusing on his reading and writing skills. And his non-participation, he will spend 50% of non-participation in the general curriculum. He will spend 5% of this time doing extracurricular or non-academic activities. Enrique will take regular assignments such as reading comprehension tests with paraprofessional in order to receive guidance on instruction. Enrique will test separately in a special education classroom to help provide services to aid his dyslexia. For district assessments such as TELPAS, students will receive additional time with no assistance to monitor their writing level.
Ms. Martinez, do you have any questions or concerns about what we have discussed in this meeting?
No, ma'am, I am pleased with the improvement we have seen with our child Enrique.
The IEP committee assures that the student is being educated with student age who do not have disabilities to the maximum extent appropriate to his overall educational needs, including academic and developmental areas such as language and socialization. The committee assures that all instruction and related services specified in the IEP will be provided to the student at no cost. The district assures that each teacher who provides instruction to a student with disabilities will receive relevant sections of the student's current IEP, and that each teacher will be informed of specific responsibilities related to implementing the IEP, such as goals and benchmarks, and of needed accommodations, modifications, and or support for the child. Ms. Martinez, do you have any questions or comments or concerns for this meeting?
No, I do not.
If you agree with all the decisions made at this meeting, please sign and check the yes box. If you do not, please sign and check the no box.
Thank you. There you go.
This concludes Enrique's annual ARD meeting. Mr. and Ms. Martinez, You will receive a copy of the ARD meeting via mail within 10 business days. Thank you all for attending.